Hello everyone and welcome to episode 78 of Waffling On. Not very professional, where I'll be looking back at the Ultimate British Wrestling Legends Never Die event and forward to Fire vs Ice 2, which is just 7 short sleeps. Or no sleeps. I mean, look at the state of me. I'm only 23. Away. Why not very professional? Anything to do with GM Bart, the professional wrestler O'Connor and father of Bart the Dart? Nope. Anything to do with the refereeing? Nope. And a massive welcome to UBW Lilith. Anything to do with this episode and all the episodes that have come before it? Yeah, that's actually more likely. Everything to do with a certain dandy and a certain dojo bro. Absolutely. Let's get to it. Now, a couple of things to get out of the way early. After a recent exploding incident on the show, I have been repeatedly asked if the WO uses AI. Absolutely no way. I have recovered, naturally, from the explosion, but it has got me thinking. Maybe I should see just how powerful AI is. So what better way to do that than to look at the arch-irritant Chase Anthony. Now, AI claims that Chase Anthony is an actor and comedian from Atlanta. Next, or that Chase Anthony is a youth hunter. Next, an Icelandic singer famous for his 2017 hit, Yay Vil Thad. Next, and also a British wrestling personality who has emphasis on past tense, served as a general manager and commissioner for different wrestling promotions. Can we please keep it that way? Why am I talking about him though? Now, I heard through the grapevine that Chase was overjoyed at getting top billing on the last episode. So I'm getting this out of the way early. As predicted in that episode, Chase Anthony targeted Kai Payne. Kai Payne, who had set an open challenge at Legends Never Die. That open challenge was answered by the gamer boy, Debbers, who was absolutely incredible, bouncing all over the place and looking like he was going to put the Firestarter back on losing ways. But alas for Debbers, that was not to be. Payne not only got the win, but also got sweet-talked by the Megamouth. He pointed out that they had a long history together, 3 years. That's 22 years less than my average relationship with my underpants, and 5 years prior to Chase Anthony's biggest hit. In sweet-talking him, he pointed out that Kai Payne was a loser. What a great way to try and win someone over. But that he could help stop that. I'm not sure why Kai Payne was otherwise on Chase Anthony's radar. We all know that Kai Payne is very intense. And maybe Chase Anthony misheard that and thought being intense meant that he would be willing to join the circus that surrounds Chase Anthony. Anyway, with a massive surprise and disappointment, KP actually said yes and shook the hand of the Megamouth. But even more disappointingly for everyone, Kai Payne has picked up a serious injury that has put him out of action for Fire vs Ice, where he was due to join Team Ice in the showpiece Eight-Man Elimination Match. Now, we haven't always seen eye to eye, but everyone at the Wrestling Outsider wishes Kai Payne a speedy recovery. Use your time wisely and maybe reconsider that offer from Chase Anthony, unless it was the Icelandic pop star, right? So I mentioned it just now, the classic 8-man Team Fire versus Team Ice elimination match that sits at the heart of this event is back. Each team starts with 4 wrestlers who are progressively eliminated, just like Progressive Overload last time, until only 1 is left standing, or 2, or maybe 3, or anyway, until every member of one of the teams is eliminated. You do the maths. Last time out, our captain Arthur Scarrow won out through a legendary field of top talent and Progressive Overload, on his way to becoming the massive fan favourite and champion that he is today. This is a real springboard to greater things and a test of any wrestler's mettle. So who do we have looking to freeze their opponents in their tracks or burn them to the ground? Let's start with Team Fire, who are coming in hot. The first class flyers are back and looking to fly high with a massive statement win. Kado and Durso were awesome at the Contenders event, narrowly missing out on a chance to take a tilt at the UBW Tag Team titles, but they are back and their return is most welcome. Their almost telepathic understanding and coordination spells real trouble for Team Ice, as do the other two members of the team. They're joined by UBW and Square One's top fella, Axeman Bunting, who no doubt will get the biggest and loudest reception of the event, and who is looking to take a few notches out of one of his opponents in particular. Also on Team Fire is the debuting Conor Albright, who'll be looking to give everyone on Team Fire and in the Biggleswade Arena a reason to smile. So far, so much of formality for Team Fire, right? And with the fire starter missing from Team Ice, wouldn't he have melted his teammates? And Tig amongst their number, it's as good as in the bag for Team Fire. And you'd think if Chase Anthony can't find a replacement for that fourth member, there's absolutely no chance. Except the Square One champion, Freddie Idol, is also on Team Ice, facing his number one contender Axeman Bunting here, and he has a cool and colossal customer as backup, who may just have something to say about matters. And I'm telling you, he will say something. I mean, the guy just will not shut up. I am, of course, talking about the kaiju, Liam McCarthy. This match is made for the King of Monsters. I've run the WO algorithm. It's just back of an envelope, and every outcome points to McCarthy being one of the survivors, if not the ultimate survivor, regardless of whether there's a fourth member in Team Ice or not. But if there is a fourth member, who might that be? Could the king of the ring announcers be forced to take up that spot? Or do we really think he has it in his powers to sweet talk someone else to join the Chase Anthony collective of killers? I mean, who would be stupid or gullible enough to take up that position? Or if Team Ice, which is pretty much at the moment just the label, do decide to recruit, can I ask just one thing? Please don't let it be memes. This is episode 7-8 of Waffling On, so it's time for an 8-7 update. Last time there was a prediction that they would have a new member, and here is the proof that it happened. Well, okay, here's the proof that it happened. Despite coming up short in a titanic clash with Big Wavy Roy Johnson, Oscar Mike impressed so much that he was offered a place on the spot to join the cohort of the UBW Tag Team Champions, further bolstering their ranks and making it a formality that they will be Tag Team Champions for the foreseeable future. Because, another prediction correct, Freebird rules will now apply in the UBW house. Anyone with 8-7 on their bicep can pair up and defend the big belts. Am I getting ahead of myself there? Nope. Predictions were rife last time round, and predictions were right. 3 in a row. Their opponents, the label, represented by New Threads Freddie Idol. Easy for me to say. By the way, Mr. Idol, I have to say I absolutely love those new threads. A touch of the Heartbreak Kid, paired with a flash of a more mercurial Freddie. Nice. But he was paired with the human millstone, King Goober Tig. So obviously, this was going to end in a loss. Roth and Leon, standing tall, with the belts, still UBW Tag Team Champions. And on this occasion, it appeared the label actually had fans in the crowd who came dressed as them, but had nothing to shout about. I mean, I would say, Freddie, I'm pretty confident if any one of those fans got in the ring to back you up, you'd have far more chance than with the actual Tig in the ring. So on 8-7 watch, let's look ahead to Fire vs. Ice 2. Brand new member Oscar Mike has an open challenge set. A multiversal Alexander Roth and Big Wavy Roy Johnson, Freebirds rule remember, are stepping up to the plate and looking to quell a rebellion. That's right, the number one contenders, Big Tom and Taylor James, are heading to the Wade. Not that Wade. Biggleswade, and they are coming for the belts. Do they stand a chance? Well, size-wise, they may have the advantage, but support-wise, not a chance. This will be one for the ages, I have no doubt. And speaking of ages, I think I might qualify for the 8-7 in that category. And IQ. Come on, lads, is there any chance? Right. What else went down at Legends Never Die? Well, there was one massive surprise. Long-time listeners will know, back at the end of 2023, it was predicted by the Wrestling Outsider that Nero Toxin would lay waste to everyone before her. And having travelled the world, that is pretty much what has happened since she set foot back in the UK. So victory against Aluna at Legends Never Die seemed like a formality, especially with the run that Aluna had been on at recent Square One and UBW events. But in a turn-up for the books, the tables were turned and the Wonderland Warrior stole the victory. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Not least for the backbreaker. This is the first real bump in the road, but will it turn into something more? You know what they say, if you fall off the bike, you should get straight back on. Unless you're AI, which rather advises it's safer to take a moment after a fall to assess your situation before getting back on. Forget that. Now, Aluna took the victory and has headed overseas, definitely to wrestle in Canada, but also maybe to put a little bit of distance between herself and a very, very angry Toxin. So now, is it assess time, or is it get back to breaking backs time? Well, there's a gap in Team Ice to be filled and an open challenge to be answered at Fire vs Ice 2. So I say, screw AI, let's get back to business, NT. The last piece of business from Legends Never Die covers the two other titles that were on the line. But strangely enough, the big news here has nothing to do with the titles and everything to do with being not very professional. First up, the Legacy Championship was on the line, with incumbent champion Tony Kyle, not a pilot, facing Lincoln Spectre, not a ghost, in a rematch that was 1 year in the making. The AbMav was looking to revenge a loss from November 2024. And remember that because there seems to be a theme taking shape here. And the UBW Championship was also on the line, with Samuel St. Daniel looking to build on his Morris Cole Memorial Battle Royal win and hit the top of the UBW mountain by taking down Chris Aries. Former professionals, former tag team partners, and former friends looking to take their shots. But it wasn't the belts they were taking shots at in the end, it was each other. Interfering with the referee with TK grounded, SSD cost the Dojo Bro the win when it looked as if the 3 count was a certainty. Incensed, Spectre launched himself in retaliation, and although he left a mark on SSD, he was distracted long enough to allow TK to hit the afterburners and a coal driver to take his belt back to the hangar. GM O'Connor was swift to offer consolation to Spectre and did well to hold back on the dressing down of his former fellow professional. And so to the main event, where the dastardly dandy looked to get one over on the Legion King, having earned this shot at the UBW British Heavyweight Championship back at the Contenders. In an inevitably tight, epic and next level contest, it was touch and go as to who would triumph, with both men pushing the other to their limits, until, with a submission victory seemingly SSD's, an enraged Lincoln Spectre hit the ring again, with no one being able to hold him back from taking his revenge. Ref Lilith demanded the bell throughout the match. SSD loses his title shot, and then everyone lost it. There were chair shots, there were conspiracy theories. It's just like Truman's back. And ultimatums abounded until the only professional left in UBW set the record straight.
Serious, you can't figure this out amongst the like professionals? How about main event next show? Samuel St. Daniels, Lincoln Spectre, no holds barred! And just to make sure it's the fair fight getting back out here, Samuel St. Daniels, I will be the special guest enforcer.
That will be the main event at Fire vs Ice 2. And to ensure an element of the professional, we will have the professional wrestler as the enforcer for that match. Could this be an end to the hostilities? Doubtful. Will it be a contender for Match of the Year? Definitely. Slightly overshadowed, but never underappreciated. We mustn't forget that both champs were victorious and are in action at Fire vs Ice 2. Did I just say something nice about Tony Kyle? The Pylo's pilot, that's better, look that one up, seems intent on avenging all prior losses. And so he has accepted a challenge for his legacy title belt from the Superman, the superhero, the Square One Superdor, the Red Falcon. Those with long memories will remember that the Winged Wonder on debut bested the false pilot at Baller Brawl for All in June 2024. And some we'll be hoping for a repeat of that, and that the Falcon can add to his FPWO title. Certainly, the Absolute Maverick doesn't have fun at Fire vs. Ice events, with an Iceman besting him last time out. Kind of a Top Gun reference, I guess? Could it be Fire vs. Ice 0-2 for TK? And who was that Iceman, I hear you ask? I'll tell you anyway. The answer is the brutal and petrifying Jakk Sellstrom, of course. If you listen very carefully at Fire vs. Ice 2, I'm pretty sure you'll still be able to hear the echoes of the screams and thuddy, of the blows that Sellstrom inflicted on Tony last time out. That truly vicious bout won the WO Wanton Obliteration Award that year. And what chance that Sellstrom's match this time may well do the same. He is facing off against the UBW champion Chris Aries and will be looking to get his cold, lethal hands on his title. But victory here for Aries will push his title run into 2026 and quickly approaching that magical 1-year mark. So it is very likely he'll do everything within his power to keep his grip on the gold. This one will probably be his biggest test to date, though. Will a cold front see Aries frozen out in favour of Jack Frost? Will the Red Falcon soar higher than the fake Flyboy? I think being a UBW champion at Christmas may depend on who's willing to be more naughty than nice this year. And that's your UBWO Roundup. Grab your tickets for Fire vs. Ice 2 if you haven't already, and come and say hi to the full Waffle crew who will be at ringside in the Wade. Not that one. SITKWTWO.